The easiest thing that you can say to yourself by far is that you want to change. But I feel like having that honest conversation with yourself is the hardest part. If you really want to change your life for the better, get the things that you want, become the person that you want, then you've got to take that difficult step of just really being honest with yourself. Being honest about where you're at in your life, where exactly you want to be, and what steps you need to take to get there. It takes a lot of difficult questions to really be honest with ourselves. And these are questions that we might not be prepared to answer. And hopefully in this video, I can put you in a better position to answer those questions for yourself. But me putting you in a position to answer those questions is really just a minor step to the process. The biggest step, like I said, is really just being honest with the person that we are. And unfortunately, we have a hard time finding that honesty in ourselves, and that's really what's preventing us from getting better. But I remember having a lot of tough conversations with myself and with God that eventually turned me into the person that I am today. And no, that's not a perfect person, or really the person that I want to be right now, but it's really just a person that's open and trying to get better. So I just wanted to share my experiences and what I've learned, and hopefully you can get something out of that. Clearly you want to improve or change your life like the 8 billion other people on this planet, and how could you not? How could you not get drawn to that concept of wanting to get better and wanting to make your life something different than what it is today? I have no doubt in my mind that you want to change your life, but if that's true, if that is the case, then why do our actions not reflect that? If somebody was truly driven to change their life, if somebody was truly passionate about becoming the best version of themselves, then how come the motivation isn't there? If you knew that you could take actionable steps to become a different person, to make your life something completely different overnight, then how come the motivation isn't there? How come the discipline isn't there? It really makes no sense. And the reason that it doesn't make sense is because we don't have that honesty with ourselves. There's a missing piece of the puzzle that we're not going to solve ever until we find that missing piece. And that one missing piece is really just honesty. What really inspired this video was a conversation that I had with God, really just about the trajectory of my life and exactly where I was going and exactly where I wanted to go. I've had so many conversations, so many talks with myself as well as with God about exactly what I wanted out of life, exactly how I was going to improve, exactly what was going to change in my life. But for some reason, I saw a minuscule change, but it was never the change that I thought was going to change the trajectory of my life. At face value, I was doing all the right things. I was saying all the right things. I was taking the right steps to become the person that I claimed I wanted to be. But for some reason, something always just felt a little bit weird. It felt a little bit inauthentic, honestly. So I had that conversation with God, questioning what's not changing? What's the missing piece that I'm not finding right now? And this isn't to say that I don't like my life currently. I love the person that I am right now. I love the position that I'm in. But that doesn't stop me from constantly feeling like I could be in a better position if I make the changes that I say I wanted to make. But eventually throughout that conversation, I realized that the reason I wasn't changing was because, of course, I was saying all the right things and I was claiming that I was doing all the right things, but I was never really honest about anything at all. I would say that it was kind of artificial. I created the perfect plans all the time. I told myself exactly how I was going to change. I told myself I would do this, I would do that, and if I took the right steps, that would all promote the change that I wanted to make. But it all really seemed so artificial because I wasn't honest with the position that I was in with my life. I was never truly honest with the person that I was and the position that I was in. So I was really just trying to change and improve on a person that I wasn't. I had this idea of this person in my mind, and since I wasn't really honest with myself, I couldn't realize that this idea of the person that I was just wasn't really myself at all. And you can't change something if you don't know exactly what you're changing. You can't change if you think that your main flaws are just basic stuff that everybody has. That's how you get that artificial change. If you actually want to change, you've got to be honest with the person that you are. If you change and improve based off of a complete lie, then you're not changing yourself. You're not putting yourself in a better position. You're putting a fabricated version of yourself in a better position, and this person does not exist. It all really boils down to the fact that I was never really honest with what my actual flaws were. I wasn't really honest with the fact that I said I wanted to get better consistently, but my actions just never reflected that. And I feel like when we get to this point of reflection, this is the part where you've got to start asking yourself those tough, difficult questions. You've got to ask yourself certain questions like, do I want to get better, or do I just want people to see that I've gotten better? Do I actually want this thing that I say I want, or do I want people to see that I have it? Do I want people to view me as a different person for having it? When you ask yourself these questions, you start to realize that your motives and your intentions might just be completely wrong. You're going about growth and improvement completely wrong, and I kind of wanted to bring it back to that question that I asked at the beginning of this video. If somebody truly wanted to change their life, knowing that it was completely attainable, it was completely possible to do, then where is that motivation? Where is that passion? Why are you not driven to actually change your life? And the answer to that question really just lies in the motives that you have. Like I said, for me, it was that question of, do I actually want to improve, or do I just want people to see that I've improved, or see that I've had something that I think I wanted? And I only found that answer for myself through the honest, tough questions that I had to ask myself. I didn't find that through the artificial change that I claimed I wanted. I didn't find that from somebody on the internet telling me to find it. Since everybody is so different and complicated, the only way that you can actually change is if you dig a little bit deeper. If you dig a little bit deeper and realize that the only way that you can actually change is if you meet yourself where you're at. Not meeting yourself at where you want to be at, or not meeting that person that you think you are, but you're meeting yourself at your flaws and imperfections. After my conversation with God, I started to question why I was avoiding honesty for so long. And I think that I avoided being honest with myself for so long because I would really have to admit how flawed I actually am. Obviously, nobody really wants to know about how flawed or imperfect they are. Nobody wants to hear about the criticism that people have against them, which is exactly why people try to improve themselves so much. And like I said, it's really all about the motives. And if that's your motive, then you're not trying to improve yourself. You're not striving for improvement, you're striving for perfection. I was striving for perfection when in all actuality, I should have really just been striving to become better. So I'm gonna say it again, you can't change or improve unless you have that honest conversation with yourself about exactly where you're at, exactly where you want to be, and exactly how you can get to that position. Because if you're growing off of a lie of the person that you think you are, then you're really just wasting your time. You're not gonna grow at all. A lot of us refuse honesty with ourselves for a lot of reasons. Because of pride, because of ego, or maybe we're just oblivious to the fact that we're not being honest with ourselves. And I can never tell you what that reason is because I am not you, but you've got to figure it out for yourself. It really is up to you to change that. The one thing that has consistently helped me with being honest with myself is journaling. It's where I can be as open and honest as possible. I can be as open as I want and really just tackle those tough questions that I've got to answer for myself by myself. But I also wanted to quickly just reaffirm you that you are definitely capable of change. And I know how difficult and challenging it is to be open and vulnerable with yourself, especially when you've got to tackle questions that you've never asked yourself before. But I just wanted to let you know that it is completely possible. I'm probably a lot less emotionally intelligent than you are, and I still figured out how to manage it for myself. So trust me, if I can do it, I know that you can do it as well. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you got some value out of it, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.